The silent planet. The dark expanse of space stretched endlessly before the alien fleet as they approached Earth. For centuries, the planet had been silent, its once thriving cities now reduced to ruins, its oceans still, its skies devoid of life. The Galactic Council had long assumed humanity to be extinct, destroyed in an ancient war. But now, thousands of years later, the Council had sent a team of explorers to investigate what remained. The alien ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, their sleek, metallic bodies gleaming under the pale sun. The planet looked like nothing more than a graveyard from the skies. To the explorers, it was an opportunity to claim a dead world, ripe for resources and new territory. As the ships landed on the barren surface, their systems hummed, scanning for any signs of life. Nothing. The sensors showed no movement, no creatures, no active signals. Earth appeared lifeless, a frozen tomb of the past. They began their slow descent to the surface, ready to make their mark on this forsaken planet. The leader of the exploration team, Captain Prevails, stood at the helm of the lead ship, his dark eyes scanning the endless horizon. "Prepare to land," he commanded, his voice cold and detached. "This will be a simple mission. We collect data, extract resources, and leave. No resistance." His crew nodded, their faces impassive. They had been to many worlds, and Earth was just another in a long line. They had seen dead planets before, worlds ravaged by war or natural disaster, with no one left to fight for them. Earth, it seemed, was no different. But as the ships touched down, something strange began to happen. The ground beneath them trembled. It wasn't an earthquake, no. It was the faintest vibration, a hum that seemed to echo from deep within the planet. At first, the aliens dismissed it as nothing more than an anomaly. After all, what could possibly be alive on a dead world? Captain Prevails didn't speak, but his mind was racing. His instincts told him something was off. The planets they had explored before didn't feel like this. There was something ancient about Earth, something that felt as if it was waiting. The exploration team disembarked, their boots crunching on the dry, cracked soil. The landscape was eerie, once towering forests now reduced to stumps, cities decimated, vast oceans empty of life. They began setting up their equipment, scanning the area for any signs of movement. "Captain," one of the crew members called, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "We've picked up something strange. It's coming from underground." Prevails turned, raising an eyebrow. "What do you mean, strange?" "We've got an energy signature. It's faint, but it's there. It's not natural, Captain. It's coming from deep below the surface, almost like a dormant power source. But how is that possible?" The captain's expression hardened. "Can you trace it?" The crew member nodded and adjusted his equipment. The scan showed a series of strange readings, like a heartbeat echoing from deep beneath the planet's crust. It was irregular but unmistakable. The source was hidden somewhere far below, and yet it was clearly active. A sense of unease began to ripple through the crew. Perhaps it's an old Earth defense system. Prevails mused aloud, but he quickly dismissed the thought. No, humanity was wiped out. There should be nothing left of them. As the team ventured deeper into the desolate landscape, the energy signature grew stronger. The hum from beneath the ground increased, sending a shiver through the explorers. They passed through the remains of old cities, buildings that had long since collapsed, their walls covered in moss and vines. There were no signs of life. Nothing moved. Yet the vibration continued to grow stronger with each step. Then, as the team reached an ancient military installation, something unexpected happened. The ground beneath them suddenly trembled violently. A deep, thunderous roar echoed from the depths of the earth, and the alien explorers stumbled, thrown off balance by the force of the shockwave. "Get back to the ships," Prevails shouted, his voice sharp with urgency. The team turned to run, but it was too late. From beneath the ground, massive metal structures began to rise. Giant, Ancient warships that had been buried deep underground for centuries emerged, their surfaces covered in dust and rust, but still intact. They were enormous, with sleek, powerful frames that radiated an eerie, ghostly glow. The aliens froze in place, their eyes wide with shock. They had no idea what they were looking at. These were not just old, abandoned ships. They were active, stirring to life after eons of dormancy. The ship's massive cannons began to whir and hum, as if powered by an ancient force. A low, mechanical growl echoed through the air. Velos could hardly believe what he was seeing. These were the legendary war machines of humanity, their most powerful weapons, thought to be lost forever. But there was no time for hesitation. As the ships began to awaken, an ancient message played from a speaker hidden deep within the planet. A message meant for anyone who dared disturb Earth. Humanity will return. Velos turned pale, his heart racing in his chest. Earth was not a dead world. It was alive. Alive with the power and technology of a lost civilization, ready to rise again. And the aliens had just awoken it. The true power of Earth had only just begun to stir. The ground rumbled beneath the alien explorers, sending cracks splintering across the barren landscape. Dust and debris filled the air as the massive warships continued to rise from their hidden tombs, their ancient metal frames groaning under the weight of centuries. The sky darkened as the fleet, once buried beneath the surface of Earth, began to stir to life. Captain Velos staggered backward, his eyes locked on the massive structures emerging before him. His team stood frozen, their scanners buzzing with chaotic readings. The warships were unlike anything they had seen before, colossal, sleek, and built for destruction. Their dark surfaces gleamed under the fading sunlight, and their enormous cannons hummed with an unknown energy. One of the explorers, a scientist named Jorith, struggled to make sense of his readings. This shouldn't be possible, he stammered. These ships, they're still operational, but there hasn't been a human presence on this planet for thousands of years. Velos clenched his jaw. Then explain why they're waking up now. Jorith swallowed hard. I don't know, but whatever built these ships, it never intended for them to stay buried forever. A deep mechanical sound echoed across the dead plains, a low, resonating thrum that seemed to vibrate in the air itself. It was a warning, a presence, a message from a forgotten past. Then, without warning, the warship systems began activating. Lights flickered along their hulls, long dormant engines roared to life, and defensive turrets adjusted their aim. The war machines of Earth were waking up, and they recognized the alien explorers as intruders. Hostile presence detected. The voice was ancient, cold, and emotionless. It echoed from deep within the fleet, carried by long-buried communication systems that had remained silent for millennia. The alien team barely had time to react before the ship's massive weapons began to hum with deadly energy. "Run," Velos shouted. The team scrambled toward their landing craft, their boots pounding against the ground. Behind them, the warships shifted, their targeting systems locking onto the intruders. In the blink of an eye, a surge of energy erupted from one of the cannons, slamming into the ground just meters behind the retreating explorers. The explosion sent them flying, the shockwave tearing apart the landscape. Jorith coughed, his body aching from the blast. "We need to leave. We need to call for backup." Velos helped him to his feet, his mind racing. This was far beyond what they had anticipated. They had come to Earth expecting a lifeless world, an abandoned ruin of a forgotten species. Instead, they had awoken something powerful, something that had been waiting in silence for an unimaginable amount of time. They reached their ship, scrambling inside as the warships adjusted their aim once more. Engines roared to life, and the alien vessel shot into the sky, escaping just as another blast from the awakened fleet struck the ground below. As they broke through Earth's atmosphere, Velos turned to his communications officer. "Send a message to the Galactic Council. Tell them we've made a grave mistake." Jorth's hands trembled as he activated the long-range communicator. What do we even tell them? Velos took a deep breath. He stared down at the planet growing smaller below them. Tell them humanity is not gone. Tell them we may have just woken up something we can't stop. Far below, the warships continued to rise, their ancient systems reactivating. Their purpose was clear. Humanity's fleet had been sleeping. Now it was awake. And it was ready for war. The alien vessel shot through the void of space, its hull trembling from the high-speed escape. Captain Velos sat in the command chair, gripping the armrests as his crew scrambled to make sense of what had just happened. Their scanners still flickered with unstable readings. Earth had been silent for millennia. Yet now, an entire fleet had awakened beneath its surface. Jorth's hands trembled as he activated the long-range communicator. Captain, we're patched through to the Galactic Council, he announced, his voice shaken. They're waiting for our report. Velos exhaled sharply. He wasn't sure how to explain what they had just witnessed, but there was no time for doubt. He stepped forward, straightened his uniform, and stared at the holoscreen. A shimmering projection of High Chancellor Revok, the leader of the Galactic Council, flickered to life before him. The Chancellor's reptilian features were locked in an expression of cold impatience. Captain Velos, you were sent to Earth to confirm its status. Have you completed your mission? Velos hesitated for a moment before responding. Sir, Earth is not as abandoned as we thought. Revok's piercing eyes narrowed. Explain. Velos took a deep breath. We detected no signs of human life. But the planet is not lifeless. Beneath its surface, we uncovered something terrifying. A fleet, an entire armada of warships buried for untold centuries. And now, they are awake. A murmur spread through the council chamber as several other alien leaders leaned in, their faces displaying a mix of confusion and concern. Revok's voice turned sharp. You're saying Earth's military is still operational? Yes, Chancellor. And not just operational, they recognized us as an enemy. They fired upon us. These warships were never meant to remain buried. They were waiting for something, waiting for a reason to activate. The chamber fell silent for a long moment. Then Revok spoke again, his voice laced with frustration. Your claim is impossible. Humanity vanished 500,000 years ago. If their war fleet still exists, then where is their command structure? Where are their leaders? Jorth stepped forward, his face pale. Sir, what if the fleet doesn't need human leaders anymore? What if it was designed to awaken on its own? A chilling silence filled the room. If that were true, then the war fleet was more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Before Revok could respond, an urgent alarm blared through the command deck of Velos's ship. The crew scrambled as red warning lights flashed across the consoles. Incoming transmission. A technician shouted. It's not from the Council. It's from Earth. Velos's blood ran cold. Put it on the main screen. The holoscreen flickered and distorted. Then a deep mechanical voice rumbled through the ship. It was not human, but it was unmistakably made by them. This is Earth's defense network. Unauthorized alien Parisiency HAAs VBENDTTCTED. Retaliation protocols INITIATD. The entire crew froze. The voice continued, its tone cold and merciless. All enemies of humanity will be eradicated. The transmission cut off. Jorth gasped. They sent us a warning. They're coming. Velos clenched his fists. No, that wasn't a warning. He turned toward the viewing screen, where distant energy signatures flickered near Earth. That was a declaration of war. And then, in the depths of space, the first of Earth's warships broke through the planet's atmosphere, heading straight for them. Panic spread through the bridge of Captain Velos's ship like wildfire. The alien officers scrambled to their stations, their eyes fixed on the massive warships rising from Earth's surface. One after another, enormous metallic behemoths emerged from their ancient slumber, their hulls gleaming under the starlight. Jorth's voice trembled as he read the data flooding his console. "Captain, the fleet is activating. Hundreds of warships, maybe thousands. Their power levels are off the scale." Velos clenched his fists. Impossible. A fleet of this size should have decayed over time. How is it still operational? The answer came swiftly. Another message echoed through their communication channels. The same cold, mechanical voice from before. "Humanity's war fleet has HFYStories. All hostilities will be purged." A deadly silence fell over the crew. Then, a warning siren blared. "Multiple warships locking onto us," shouted an officer. The view screen flickered, revealing a terrifying sight. Dozens of Earth's warships shifting into attack formations, their weapons humming with untold energy. Unlike any alien fleet ever seen, these ships were built for a single purpose: war without mercy. Jorth's hands shook. "Captain, if we don't leave now, we won't survive." Velos's mind raced. If this fleet had remained hidden for 500,000 years, what else had humanity left behind? What kind of technology were they truly facing? A low, menacing hum filled the ship as the first of Earth's warships unleashed a blast. A blinding lance of energy cut through space, narrowly missing them, but instantly obliterating a Council observation probe. The crew gasped in horror. "Their weapons are beyond anything we've ever seen," Jorth whispered. Velos made a decision. "Get us out of here. Now." Engines roared to life as the ship turned sharply, accelerating away from Earth. But the war fleet did not pursue. They simply hovered above the planet, waiting, watching. Velos exhaled, his mind spinning. "They're not chasing us. Why?" Jorth gulped. "Maybe they don't see us as the real threat." Velos turned to him, his face dark with realization. Then who do they see as their real enemy? And then another transmission arrived. This one was not a warning. It was a declaration. "To all who stand against humanity, your time is over." Velos's blood ran cold. This war fleet wasn't just defending Earth. It was preparing for revenge. Captain Velos's ship hurtled through space, engines at maximum power. The crew was silent, their minds still processing the horror they had witnessed. Earth's ancient war fleet had awakened, and it was unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. Jorth stared at the data on his console, his hands trembling. "Captain, we need to report this to the Council immediately. If those warships decide to attack, no one in the galaxy can stop them." Velos nodded, his expression grim. "We barely escaped. The question is, why did they let us go?" As if answering his question, the ship's comms crackled to life. A deep, commanding voice filled the bridge. "Do not run. Do not hide. Listen." The crew froze. The transmission was not coming from any known source. It was old, impossibly old. And yet, the signal was strong, as if it had been waiting for this moment. Jorth's eyes widened. "Captain, this transmission. It's over 500,000 years old." A holographic projection appeared before them. It was a human, a tall figure in a dark military uniform, his face lined with battle scars. His eyes burned with a fierce, determined light. "If you are seeing this message, then humanity is gone, but our vengeance remains." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The human continued. "Once, the Galactic Council believed itself above all others. They feared us. They invite us. And in their arrogance, they destroyed us." Velos felt a chill run down his spine. This isn't possible." "But we knew this day would come," the human continued. "We knew the galaxy would forget. And that one day, someone would come to the ruins of Earth, thinking us weak, thinking us gone." The hologram's eyes narrowed, filled with cold fury. "To those who betrayed us, To those who stand with them, know this: our war never ended. We simply waited. The transmission flickered, and another voice, robotic, ancient, took over. Humanity's war fleet, it is on and line. Targeted identification in progress. Hostile entities, while LBT or MINATed. The bridge erupted into chaos. Captain, we need to leave. Now, Jorith shouted. Velos gritted his teeth. No, we need to understand what they're planning. If we just run, we'll be blind to what's coming. The hologram flickered again, revealing a star map. It was not just Earth. Other planets, long thought to be abandoned wastelands, had markers glowing on them. Jorith zoomed in on the locations, his face turning pale. These are old human colonies, but they were destroyed centuries ago. The robotic voice continued. Fleet 1, Earth, Awakened. Fleet 2, Titan, Awakening in progress. Fleet 3, Mars, Awakening in progress. Fleet 4, VGA Prime, Awakening in progress. Fuel reactivation in 30 standard days. Silence filled the bridge. Jorith swallowed hard. Captain, the entire war fleet is reactivating. Not just Earth's ships. There are thousands more across the galaxy. Velos clenched his fists. This isn't just about Earth. This is a resurrection. The crew looked at each other, fear in their eyes. Humanity had been silent for 500,000 years, but now their vengeance was rising from the ashes. And the galaxy was not ready. The tension aboard Captain Velos's ship was unbearable. The holographic message from the long-dead human commander still echoed in their minds. The Galactic Council had believed humanity was gone, wiped out by time and history. But now, the truth was clear. Humanity had never truly died. They had simply been waiting. Jorith's hands shook as he scanned the galactic map displayed before them. Thousands of blinking red markers lit up across the screen, each one representing a reawakening human war fleet. Earth was just the beginning. Captain, he stammered, this isn't a threat. This is an extinction-level event. Velos clenched his fists. He had been part of the Council's forces for decades. He had fought wars, led fleets, crushed rebellions. But nothing compared to the storm that was about to break upon the galaxy. Another transmission crackled through the ship's speakers. This time, it was not a recorded message. It was live. Galactic vessel, identify yourself, a voice commanded. It was mechanical, precise, and filled with an unnatural coldness. Jorith's face paled. That signal. It's coming from Earth's flagship. Velos hesitated for a fraction of a second before responding. This is Captain Velos of the Galactic Council. Access denied, the voice interrupted. The Galactic Council is classified as a Level 1 hostile entity. Termination protocols activated. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. Jorith's screen flooded with warning symbols. Weapons lock detected. On the main display, a massive ancient warship rose from the ruins of Earth's orbit. It was unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. Sleek, powerful, and covered in battle scars from wars fought hundreds of thousands of years ago. But its weapons were active, its targeting systems locking onto Velos's ship. Velos didn't hesitate. Fuel EVA Sion. Now. The pilot yanked the controls, sending the ship into a sharp dive just as a searing blue energy beam tore through space where they had been. The shockwave sent the ship spiraling, sparks flying from the consoles. That was a warning shot. Jorith shouted. If they wanted us dead, we'd already be dust. Velos gritted his teeth. They're testing us. Then, another voice broke through the chaos. It was deeper, filled with authority, but undeniably human. We see you, Velos. Everyone on the bridge froze. The holographic screen flickered, and a new figure appeared. It was a human, a real human. He wore a long military coat, his chest lined with medals from battles that predated the Galactic Council itself. His eyes burned with something the crew couldn't quite place. Resolve, fury, vengeance. Jorth's voice was barely a whisper. Impossible. How is this possible? The human smirked. You thought we were gone. You thought time had erased us. You were wrong. Behind him, the display changed, revealing an image that made Velos' blood run cold. Thousands of human warships, battle-worn, ancient, but fully operational, had risen from their slumber. Their weapons were primed. Their engines burned like stars. The human smirk faded, replaced by a cold glare. Your council ended our world. Now, we return the favor. The transmission cut off. Then, without warning, the warships moved. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The fleet was in motion. Earth's warships, ancient but terrifyingly advanced, soared through space with a single purpose: revenge. The silence that had settled in the galaxy for eons was shattered. Every civilization that had believed humanity was gone, reduced to myth, now had to face the truth. Humanity had returned, and they were not forgiving. Captain Velos stood in the command center, his eyes locked on the holographic map in front of him. The human war fleet had already engaged several of the Outer Council defenses. The results were devastating. The galaxy's most powerful fleets, once thought invincible, were now scattered, retreating in fear. Where are they headed? Velos asked, his voice tight with the weight of what was to come. Jorth, standing next to him, frantically typed commands into his console. They're making a direct course for the Galactic Council's main stronghold, the heart of our power. Velos' heart sank. He knew what that meant. The war for the future of the galaxy was about to begin, and humanity was leading it. Outside the windows of the ship, stars blurred past as they traveled deeper into the galaxy. The size and scale of the human warships were unlike anything they had ever seen before. The very sight of them instilled dread. Those ships were not just relics. They were weapons forged in the fires of Earth's darkest times. Suddenly, a communication ping sounded. It was from Earth. The human commander's face appeared again on the holoscreen, his cold eyes fixed on Velos. You think you can escape? The words were sharp and direct, but they carried an eerie calmness. This is where your reign ends. Your time is over. Velos felt a chill run down his spine. You'll never succeed. The Council's power is too great. The human smiled, but it was a cruel smile. We've already won. You just don't know it yet. The transmission cut off abruptly. Velos didn't have time to dwell on the words. A new alert flashed across the screen. Multiple enemy ships detected. The human fleet was closing in, and this time, there was nowhere to run. Their weapons were charging. This was not a mere battle. It was a final confrontation. We need to call for reinforcements, Jorth suggested, his hands trembling over the console. Velos shook his head. It's too late for reinforcements. The galaxy will have to decide whether it wants to fight or kneel before humanity. As the human fleet approached, their warships opened fire, launching energy blasts so powerful they distorted the very fabric of space around them. The first wave of Council ships was obliterated in an instant. The remaining ships tried to regroup, but the humans were relentless. Each blast felt like the galaxy itself was trembling. We're outmatched, Jorth muttered, staring at the chaos unfolding on the screen. There's no way we can hold them off. Not if they've truly awakened their full power, Velos replied grimly. This isn't just a war. This is a reckoning. The Galactic Council's once mighty fleet, considered indestructible, was now facing the wrath of the very species they had thought they had eradicated. The balance of power had shifted. Humanity's warships were like a storm tearing through the galaxy, unstoppable and unforgiving. Just as the battle seemed lost, a new fleet arrived, a mysterious force from the depths of uncharted space. These ships were unlike any the galaxy had seen. Their design was strange, almost alien, but their firepower was formidable. The unexpected reinforcements gave the Council's remaining forces a glimmer of hope. "What are these ships?" Jorith asked, his voice trembling with curiosity. Velos narrowed his eyes. "I don't know, but we need to make sure we don't let this opportunity slip away." The newly arrived ships opened fire, catching the human fleet off guard. But even as the unexpected reinforcements clashed with the humans, it was clear the tide of the battle was already turning. Humanity was not just fighting for revenge. They were fighting to reclaim what was once theirs. The galaxy was about to change. There would be no more empires ruling over Earth, no more ignoring their strength. The Council's greatest mistake had been thinking humanity was gone. Now the consequences were upon them. Velos looked out at the scene unfolding before him. This is only the beginning. The galaxy will never be the same again.